Hello Africa, you're welcome to HealthAfrik, the health show that seeks to enlighten you on all health concerns. It is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. We all know that food is an essential component of life, and how we produce and consume food has a number of health ramifications such as malnutrition, a barrier to poverty alleviations, health, education and development. In honor of the African Union Day and the Year of Nutrition, today we'll be discussing sustainable healthy diet for human development. I am Abdella Quartey. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're welcome back from the break. This is HealthAfrik on AAU TV, and as I stated earlier, today we'll be discussing sustainable healthy diet for human development, and it is in line with the African Union's theme for this year. With me here is Mr. Abdella Quartey, a registered dietitian. He's going to help us enlighten the importance of sustainable healthy diet. Hello, Mr. Abdella.
Hello.
You're welcome to HealthAfrik.
Thank you very much.
And I must say, you're looking very good.
Hi, you're looking good.
I like your outfit. Now let's go straight to today's discussion. But before then, I'd like you to differentiate between dieting and nutrition. People actually kind of interchange these words.
Yeah, so a dietitian or a nutritionist, or dieting and a nutrition, in some parts of the world, they're actually used interchangeably. Yeah. And I think we are moving towards that aspect of healthcare or our lives. But then for now, the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist is nutritionists are more focused on the public health aspect, the preventive aspect, whilst dietitians have to do with the curative. So the dietitian would be the one who would know that I need to give you, or you need to eat this and this to manage a condition, or to say cure a condition, whilst a nutritionist would better know to tell you eat this and this to prevent it. But like I said, we are moving towards a time where both of us, or we are going to use that word interchangeably.
Yeah. All right, okay. So we know that undernutrition is still a developmental challenge in majority of the African countries. Now, I want to know, is there a continental policy or maybe national policy that seeks to address these challenges or gives guidelines to adequate nutrition?
Yeah, so if you look at some of these policies continentally, if we take Africa, the AU has actually set a strategy. They call it Agenda 2063, where they have put in place a few things to ensure a sustainable continent for human development. And amongst them, they have the nutrition policies, or they have food systems and securities, how to strengthen some of these things to ensure that the populace in the continent is healthy and is living well. So we have the continental one, which every country is actually ascribing to, and then we have our national policies. National policies, we have quite a few, or we have a number of them that as a country we are looking to improve upon our nutrition. Mm-hmm. We have the Ghana School Feeding Program is one of the nutritional policies that are targeted towards improving upon our nutrition in this country.
So taking Ghana as an example, how far are these policies being implemented?
Yeah, so they are being implemented, and we all know that some of them are being rolled out and are being done. And definitely, yes, we are achieving some, but more can be done. So we have one that is the livelihood is LEAP, where poorer households are being supported so that they can get food, and then they can get the necessary things that they need for basic life support and all that. So we are, I think it started somewhere now, about I think 37,000 homes are being supported. The school feeding program under the various governments to going on, and then more can be done, but at least we've started and there is headway somewhere.
Great. I know when we talk about good diet, then we are saying a diet that meets all the nutritional values. Now, what are some of these values that can be derived from a good diet?
Okay, so if we talk about a good diet, we are looking at the various macronutrients and then the micronutrients. They are very important. That you are meeting your protein needs, you are meeting your carbohydrate needs, you are meeting your fat and oil needs, and then also the nutrients that we call them micro because we don't really see them, we don't really actually take them in large quantities. Those ones are also very important. So a healthy diet is one that should be able to keep you in a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, as defined by the WHO. And then one that should prevent, now we are moving from just the aspect that the diet or the nutrition or the food you are eating is solving a problem for you. We are moving to the stage where we are looking at the future. So the diet or a healthy diet is what you should eat to prevent some conditions and some diseases in the future.
All right, you made mention of macro and then micro nutritional value. Now let's look at this group of people, pregnant women. What defines good diet to them?
Okay, so a pregnant woman's diet is very tricky. I mean, the general perception everywhere is that because you're pregnant, you should eat for 2 people. If they are twins, then you're eating for 3. But then it is not entirely so. Okay. So you are eating to provide enough nutrients for yourself, to provide enough nutrients for the baby you are carrying, because the baby is going to feed or is going to take or derive his or her nutrition from you, the mother. So you need a good diet, a healthy diet. Okay. Now, when we say a healthy diet for a pregnant woman, there are some key points that are very important. One is iron, because of the growth of the child. Other micronutrients like folate, just so that the child will grow well. So as part of some measures for antenatal care in this country and probably elsewhere, mothers who go for antenatal care are given supplements. They are given folic acid and then zinc of it and then some B12 vitamins and all that, because our food systems or our foods that we eat sometimes do not meet up to this requirement. For a healthy, normal individual, you may be meeting them if you are eating well, but for a pregnant woman, you need more because of the for growth of the child that is in there. So you don't necessarily have to eat double portions of food,
right,
but then the food you are eating should be balanced and healthy enough to give you all the requirements that you need. If you take in, say, 1,000 to 1,005 example, when you are pregnant, it will go up, because the baby needs some of those nutrients, some of those calories to be able to grow well.
Okay, now looking at the children group, like a child, what defines good diet to that?
Okay, so for children at the growing age, we call the critical window of life. That is like the first 1,000 days of life, from the day the child or the eggs and the sperms would fuse, from that day to the child's second birthday. That is the first 1,000 days of life. And that critical window is a place or is a period where a lot of growth occurs. So one of the very important things, all the nutrients are important, but it is very important that you pay particular attention to the child's protein intake. Because the child is growing, bones are building, height is going on, body structure is coming in. A lot of building of new tissues, a lot of protein is needed. So during that children, that age group from 0 to 2 years, the toddlers to preschool, you need to feed your child well with enough energy. So as the child starts crawling, the child is going to use a lot of energy. So the energy would shift, as in from 0 to 6 months is different from above 6 months. The feeding is different. But most often they are like, no, don't give a child egg, don't give a child meat, don't give a child fish. Otherwise, when they grow up, they'll become thieves. A lot of food myths around. If you listen or if you decide to follow this path, the child will lack good nutrition. And when a child lacks good nutrition, after 2 years or after the child's second birthday, it's difficult for you to change things that have already occurred in a human body. So that's why we call it a critical window. If everything goes on well, the child is likely to grow to become a very good or healthy adult. If there are things that don't go on well during that period, then you are going to have issues, like maybe you are going to have issues later on in life. So a child's diet, you need protein, you need carbohydrates, you need the fats and oils, and they need the vitamins a lot because their bodies are now, their immune systems are now building up. So the fruits and the vegetables too need to play a very good role in their diet.
And how about the working group, I mean adults?
Yeah.
What nutritional value do they need more?
Okay, so for the working group, I would say we need a lot of carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates?
Yes, because as you said, a working group, you need a lot of energy, and then the energy giving foods are the carbohydrates that we take in there. So you need the energy to be able to go about your daily business. As you are growing, you don't need much, as compared to children, you don't need much more protein, because at that stage, the body systems will go weak. As you are growing, elderly, the older people, so the body systems will grow weak. So this is not the time for you to take in a lot of proteins, a lot of fatty foods and all that, because you are going to burden the system. It won't be able to work on it as you were in your youthful ages. So during your youth, you need a lot of energy because of your working environment and the things that you need to do to continue life and then to survive.
So with the working group, they need more energy.
Yes, we need more energy.
But with the old age, they need more carbohydrates, if I get you right.
Well, not necessarily, but they will need lesser energy.
Okay.
Because the old age group or the elderly, they don't really do a lot of movements like we do. So they would be at home 24/7, just a few walks in and there. So this is not the time for you to beef up their calories. No, you just give them a caloric intake that would, or you give them food that would just help preserve life. Okay, they don't really need much. So some amount of carbohydrates, some amount of proteins, and then as much as possible the oil should cut down there, and that is what is best for them.
You've made mention of some of the nutrients. You said vitamins, proteins and all. Now let's look at the sources between plants and then animals. Let's take vitamins. In plants, where are we going to get that?
Most plant foods have a lot of vitamins. You get they cut across, okay, but we have a few that are rich in particular, like we know orange, vitamin C, carrots, vitamin A, fruit, other vegetables, vitamin K. So all of them would have all these fruits and vegetables. Okay, all these fruits and vegetables will have all these vitamins, but then some of them will have it in abundance than the others. So if you are looking for micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, fruits and vegetables are good to go. And even the macro, the staples and roots and tubers also have some amount of these nutrients that we are going. So most plant sources will get our vitamins, we'll get our minerals from there.
Now, still on plants, let's talk about protein. Which kind of plants or which kind of fruit type will we get protein?
Oh, we get protein from granite. We get protein from granite. We get protein from soya bean. We get protein from millet. We get protein from sorghum. Yeah. So all those ones gives us good enough protein, and then they are good proteins. But when we come to proteins, we have two types: the first class protein and then second class protein. Yeah, first class and then second.
What's the difference?
So the difference is that the first class protein, that is protein of high biological value, they have all the essential amino acids that you need. Okay, so assuming fish or meat, they have everything that you need in protein. But when it comes to the plant sources, not all of them will have all these amino acids. So you may lack certain things when you're taking in the plant sources of protein.
Now let's come to animal. Vitamins and then protein.
Yeah, so most will not get much vitamins and minerals from animal sources of food, but we'll get proteins. We'll get a lot of proteins from animal sources, our eggs,
milk,
milk and all those things. They are good sources of protein in the animal sources.
We'll be going for a quick break, but before that, I would like to ask, some people are vegetarians, they don't eat meat. How advantageous is this? Like, is it more, do they benefit more from people who eat meat? I want to know.
Yeah, so I would say in a way they do benefit, because studies and research have shown that those that do a lot more plant-based foods live healthier lives, or they live longer than those who would do the animal-based foods. Yeah, those of us doing the meat and the chicken and all those things. And that's notwithstanding, if you're a vegetarian, there are some nutrients, some vitamins, some essential nutrients that you may not get from your plant sources of food. So most often you supplement them. Meanwhile, the other people, that's those who are not vegetarians will get all those necessary nutrients. But in general, overall, if you are doing more plant-based, let me say if you are more vegetarian, then you have a better chance at life. I'm not saying those who chew meat will die, but then your overall health is better because of the plant-based foods. It has lesser cholesterols and all those things. So yes, in general, you are better off because you get more vitamins, you get more minerals, and then you get less cholesterols and all that.
All right, we'll go for a quick break and we'll be back. We are going for a quick break. When we come back, we will continue with the discussion. You're welcome back from the break. This is HealthAfrik on AAU TV. If you just joined, today we are discussing sustainable healthy diet for human development. You can follow this discussion on our social media handles at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube. And with me here is Mr. Abdella Quartey. Abdella, you're welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
So before we went for the break, you made mention of some of the nutritional value we get from plants and animals, and also what you benefit from being a vegetarian. Now, I want to know what happens if you don't get enough nutrition. I mean, iron deficiency, what happens? Vitamins deficiency, what happens?
Okay. So if you don't get enough nutrition, simply put, you become more nourished. And in our part of the world, in Africa, I mean, let's take it the African continent, we have the double burden of disease. When we say the double burden of disease, then we are talking about malnutrition in its over and under. So in Africa, scale down to Ghana, we are having issues with obesity, as well as having issues with underweight, severely wasted. Okay, so if you are not having your nutrition, if your nutrition is not at the optimum level, if you don't have enough of it, you become undernourished, you become wasted, you become underweight. If you are taking too much of it too, you become overweight, you become obese. So if your nutrition, like you're saying, you are lacking some things, then you are burdened with this issue where you have overnutrition and undernutrition. So that is one of the challenges in this continent, or on this continent, where we have the double burden. Else where they have either obesity and then they have either underweight. But in Africa, we have obesity and we have underweight, meaning that some people are getting too much food to eat, others are getting less food to eat. Then, not that alone, we have something we call hidden hunger. So hidden hunger is when the food you are eating, okay, like we are all sitting here, we are looking good, everybody thinks, oh, you have well to do, but you are lacking essential micronutrients. Like you said, iron, vitamins, folate, all those things. When you are lacking those ones, for example, if you are lacking iron, if you are deficient in iron, you become pale. So you realize that your palms become white, under your eye, it looks very white. Yeah. So that one is not something someone sees. Yeah. You get it? So you're looking all fine, you're looking all good, but then you are hungry. Hidden hunger, yeah. So until someone decides to check a few things before you realize that, your iron, or you don't have enough this, you don't have enough vitamins. Yeah, and so that is what we call hidden hunger. So we have the malnutrition, that is over and under, and then we have hidden hunger if your nutrition is not on point.
Now, let's delve into sustainable healthy diet. Now, according to FAO, sustainable diet is the physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food and water to fulfill dietary and cultural needs, to enable an active and healthy lifestyle without compromising the ability of future generations to meet these needs. Now, I want to know, how can we achieve sustainable healthy diet when food insecurity forces us to sometimes eat processed food, sometimes food imports, and even sometimes farmers use hazardous materials on their crops? How can we achieve this sustainable healthy diet?
Well, the only way we can do that is if our systems are working. Okay, so to our policymakers, our consumers, our retailers, producers, the system has to work. Okay, so we've said that the diet, a sustainable or healthy diet, should be able to meet your cultural needs, your health needs. It should be able to meet your economic needs. And it should be able to take into consideration future generations.
Exactly.
So this is not the time or space for us to think of our own selves. We produce food, we increase prices, and like you said, food insecurity. In Ghana, it's one of the major causes of nutritional problems, especially in the north, food insecurity, because there is not good food for people to eat. How do we ensure all these things come about? It's like nutrition is the basic block of everything. So if we don't put much more focus, our policymakers, the government, individuals, if we don't focus on our nutrition, everything else we are building on will sort of crumble. Because you, old as you are, getting sick, going for healthcare. Meanwhile, if we had checked your nutrition some years back, you wouldn't have gotten sick. So the burden on our health systems and everything could be solved if we go back to the roots. Like I'm saying, we have systems that are put in place, but are they working? Advertising companies, this is where a lot of processed things, a lot of adverts are on the TVs. So people think that it is better if I go for these things. That the education is not going down to the grassroots. So if we want to make our diet sustainable in the sense that we are looking at future generations, we have to look at a lot of our policies. We have to give much more focus to nutrition. The farmer will produce it, but where are the roads and the process or the means of conveying it to the production site? Do we have to export it to get it go into processing and then come back to us? It makes it more expensive.
Yeah.
But if we have empowered our farmers, I think now, well, we have Planting for Food and Jobs, which is aiming at some of these things. We are having things like one district, one factory. As to whether they're actually working, I'm not here to discuss that. But then we are having the farmers. We should have the production sites. We should have good roads. Okay, we should have people who are in charge of, I think, the prices of goods and services. It should be regulated. That is the only way we can actually ensure that sustainable diet and sustainable nutrition is being done in this or achieved in Africa or in Ghana as we talk about.
Now, aside food insecurity and then maybe the cost of food being expensive, are there other potential barriers to access healthy?
Yeah, there are potential barriers. One is education or knowledge. If you don't know whether what you're taking is healthy or not, it is a barrier. You would end up going for it. You may go for it because you don't have enough money to purchase the good one, but you may have the resources to go for a healthy diet, but you don't know what a healthy diet is.
Yeah.
So education is one. It can be a barrier to it. Now, aside that, the policies we put in place, okay, are we ensuring that for example, Food and Drugs Board, things are being checked, the things that come into the country?
Exactly.
Are we ensuring that most of the things that we produce are staying and are not going out, we are not exporting? Are we ensuring that we are consuming our own things? That is some of the things that if we don't put in place, then, I mean, it wouldn't go a long way. We would just be talking about sustainable continent, sustainable nutrition. But then we have to actually work towards it. Because if the Food and Drugs Board is not working well, we'll be eating poison foods. We'll be eating things that are not healthy. So they are working and they have to do more. He gets it.
Yeah. Now, we are going to end today's discussion, but before that, as a registered dietitian, I know people may have come to you with problems or diseases concerning food or diet. What would you recommend to policymakers and then your colleagues, health experts, and then to the general public in terms of sustainable, healthy diets?
Okay. So what I would recommend to the policymakers again is that let us think more about the grassroots. Okay, the basic problem. Okay, we have to give our focus to other things, but if we are working on nutrition right from the word go, right from infancy, right from childhood, we will not have 20-something-year-olds suffering from diabetes. We will not have hypertension. Yesterday was World Hypertension Day. So we will not have all these issues coming up because we are tackling the grassroots. We can't just be cutting off the top and then not really looking at the roots of the problem. So let us go back to the grassroots. Education, Educating the populace is very important. Making sure that our systems work. There's not a time where people can pass back door, do a certain thing, get certificates, open up shops, and then, I mean, a lot of things that wouldn't help us. So let us go back to the grassroots. To my fellow colleagues, dietitians, medical personnel out there, let us give the best quality care we can. Before you let someone leave your consulting room, we are talking about sustainable development. We are talking about sustainable nutrition. Counsel the person to prevent the person from coming back again. Tell the person, teach the person what he or she is supposed to do. If it is one child you are seeing, bear in mind that the person may give birth to another. We are talking about future generations. If the person is done with delivery, talk to the person. You can also counsel or educate a neighbor. Then that way we are helping the future generations that are coming up. And then let's not jump on things that we call something evidence-based practice. You don't just do things. Whatever you are doing, don't think about it as a source or a source of income. Think about it that you are going to enrich lives, you are touching lives. So whatever practice, whatever advice, diet plan you are giving out, make sure it is evidence-based, not just some small literature you read on Google or something and then you are purporting it. No, let it be evidence-based, and then that way we are all helping ourselves and we are helping the country and the nation.
And then to the general public.
Yeah, to the general public. Guardians, we don't like reading. Please let us read food labels. Let us read.
Yeah,
let us read. Before you pick something from the shelf, read whether it is good for you or not. Is it going to help you or not? And reading would save us a lot of problems. And I think the time is coming where we should also go back to our backyard gardens. That way we can ensure, you mentioned that some farmers are using hazardous chemicals in their growth. Let's try and see if we can find time to do some backyard farming for some few vegetables and fruits. They are whole and they are good for you. So let's join hands and then make things work.
Thank you very much for being with us today for this discussion. This concludes our conversation for today. If you just tuned in, this is HealthAfrik on AAU TV, and today we discussed sustainable healthy diet for human development. As you heard, we should try and then create more awareness on eating healthy, not even just eating healthy, but sustainable healthy diet. And also, let's go back to our roots. Our backyard garden is very, very important now. Although food is expensive these days, let's try to consume the safest food or the safest diet. My name is Abdella Quartey, hoping to see you again.